Have you recently moved to the UK or are you in the process of applying to move to the UK? Then you need to know about the national insurance number. In this video, we're going to be talking about specifically the national insurance number. What is it? Why do you need it? Who needs it? And what is the process of going about and getting it? Make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I'm also going to be sharing some tips which will help you avoid some hassle and possibly some money when you apply for the national insurance number.
Get strong.
Hi, my name is Arjun and this is The Nimble Nomad, my channel where I talk about the tips, tricks and hacks for you to survive and thrive in the UK, especially if you are new or an immigrant to the UK. In this video, I'm going to be specifically talking about the national insurance number. So what is the national insurance number? So the national insurance number is a number which is used by the United Kingdom to administer the national insurance or the social security system in the UK. It's also used for tax administration purposes. It is sometimes referred to as an NI number or a NINO. And it's very similar to the social security number that you get in the US or the permanent account number or the PAN number that you get in India. I mean, it may be referred to as a different number in your respective home country. The number will not change throughout your lifetime and once it has been assigned to you. Why do you need a national insurance number? So the national insurance number is used for administering tax, it's used for opening bank accounts, it's used for assigning you the right tax code so that you can measure it. Also, when you settle in the UK permanently, it's used for administering benefits, so your state pension and other benefits that you might get from the government. I've also personally used the national insurance number when I've had to switch bank accounts and open investment accounts. And most importantly, actually, the national insurance number is a mandatory requirement for payroll purposes. So when you start working with a new employer, you must absolutely provide them with a national insurance number so that they can report it to the Treasury services in the United Kingdom. So who actually needs the national insurance number? So the national insurance number is required by absolutely every single person who is living in the UK in order to work and or study. It is a mandatory legal requirement. In my personal opinion, applying for a national insurance number needs to be on your top 3 things to do once you move to the UK, right after opening a bank account and finding a place to live. So how do you apply for a national insurance number? Right, so there are technically 3 ways of going about applying for a national insurance number. The first one is to check your BRP or the biometric residence permit that you get once you arrive in the UK. The national insurance number often can be written down on the back of your biometric residence permit in the remarks section. And it's especially if you're moving to work in the UK and an employer has sponsored your visa, you may already have a national insurance number assigned to you. If this has been assigned to you, then you don't actually have to do anything further. So the next option for you to get a national insurance number is to call the HMRC or Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs Department. When you call them, they will ask you your particulars and some details, and following this they will send you a form for you to fill out. Once you fill this form out and send this back to them, they will produce your national insurance number, which typically takes about 2 odd weeks, and this is sent back to you on a piece of paper to your home address. There are specific phone numbers that you need to contact for HMRC depending on the country that you're living in within the UK. So you can be living in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. And the phone number depends on which one of these 4 countries that you're living in. And based on this, you can apply for your national insurance number through the correct contact number. I will provide a link of these numbers in the description card above. But also, just I'm bringing them up on screen so that you can actually see them in case you are struggling to find this. So the third option for applying for a national insurance number is to book an appointment with the HMRC to do an in-person interview at a Job Centre Plus office. So a Job Centre Plus is a government office. You have many of these offices dotted around in different cities and across the UK. What you will have to do, if in exceptional circumstances when you can't apply for a national insurance number through the phone and through the form with the HMRC, you will have to book an appointment with the HMRC through the same number and go in for a face-to-face interview. The face-to-face interview is very, very straightforward, nothing complicated there. They ask you some very simplistic questions in order to generate your national insurance number. So they'll ask you questions like your name, your date of birth, your nationality and which country you're from, and any details about your spouse. And the reasons for being a resident in the United Kingdom. Once you pass on these details to them, they are able to generate a letter confirming that you've applied for a national insurance number within the interview, and you can use this letter as evidence that you've applied for a national insurance number with your employer or a prospective employer. And once you get the actual national insurance number, or NINO, from the HMRC, you can submit this to your employer for payroll purposes, as I've highlighted previously. The process typically takes about 2 weeks for them, once from the point of completing the interview to actually receiving the national insurance number at your home residence. Thanks for staying with me up until this point in the video. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, as a bonus, I was going to talk about something that will save you some hassle and possibly some money. So just as a personal experience, when I was applying for my own national insurance number, it was a really, really straightforward process. Like, I followed the process of calling up the HMRC. They sent me the form and I submitted the form to them, and within 2 weeks I had my national insurance number, which I provided to my employer. My wife did the exact same thing, so she didn't have to go through the interview process at all. Now, whilst doing research for this particular video, I found some instances and some accounts from people who had said that they had searched for how to apply for a national insurance number on Google, and the first few links that actually showed up on Google when they searched for it took them to some websites which looked really, really polished and fancy. And they thought those were legitimate websites through which you could apply for a national insurance number. Now, it turns out when you actually enter all your details on these websites and submit them, they actually, what they do is exactly what I've mentioned you would do for a national insurance number, except that they charge you anywhere between 25 to 50 pounds to do this process, and moreover, they book an appointment. So it's not even that the form just comes home to you. You have to go in to the Job Centre Plus and attend a face-to-face interview and appointment. And actually at these appointments, they actually ask you as a question whether you've paid for that appointment. And I think from my own sort of research of these websites, I didn't personally see whether there was any specific benefit or value that these websites were providing in addition to the standard process of contacting HMRC. So in my own personal opinion, the national insurance number application process should be an absolutely no cost to you. It's a free process, and the number should not cost you a single dime or penny. So I just wanted to highlight this to you in case you've come across these websites or you've been tempted to apply for a national insurance number through these websites. I'd highly recommend you avoid them unless you are absolutely struggling to apply for the number on your own. So that's it, guys. I mean, that's all I wanted to cover on this video. I'd really appreciate it if you can hit the like button and smash that like button and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you get the notifications as soon as new videos are launched. I will be producing new videos every week and I launch them on a Sunday. If you have any questions or specific topics that you'd like me to cover going forward, I'd be glad to cover those. Please make sure you comment on the section below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.